and the results have shown that nearly 46% of UK adults struggle with self-confidence. This ability to roll with the punches is the resilience we have built up over time. Sometimes a number of things go wrong all at once, and it can get really heavy to carry all of that. I would get really hot and breathe weird. Truth is, this is not a good place to be. And the last thing that helps immensely with my resilience is to... Welcome back to Real People Real Talk. My name is Bobby, and if you're new here, welcome. This channel is dedicated to making life that little bit easier by talking about everyday scenarios, learning from those experiences and becoming just a little bit better every day. In this video, I want to share some of the interactions and conversations I've had over the last week. We will touch on confidence, resilience, and why we care so much about what others think. I'm hoping that by sharing some of this, we can learn something new and maybe implement some changes that will make it easier for us going forward. I had some great conversations and interactions last week, and I'm keen to share the things I've learned in the hope that it may be useful for you too. Last week, I received an email from one of our regular viewers. The email talked about some of the adversities they've had in life and how those experiences have now impacted their confidence. They described finding it difficult to have a conversation with people now, questioning actions despite knowing they were the right ones, and also feeling nervous a lot of the time. There was some more there too, particularly around making sure that their actions and words landed properly, and ensuring that they do not upset or inconvenience those around them. We can come on to that a little later, but I wanted to look into the confidence part first. There was a number of surveys done over the last 5 years, and the results have shown that nearly 46% of UK adults struggle with self-confidence. Truth is, this is something that is common amongst us, and looking at ways we can improve this will have a huge impact not just on ourselves, but also our children. When I thought about this important matter, I looked at the things I am most confident about. For instance, I was making some pizzas over the weekend for a party. It was my friend's birthday party, and he invited some of his closest family and friends. The majority of the guests were people who hadn't really met me before, let alone tried my food. Despite the pressure of making dinner for such a big occasion, I felt surprisingly calm. I felt no nervousness whatsoever. This is because I'm confident making pizzas. I do this for friends and family all the time, and the feedback has always been good. The reason why I'm confident is because I've done it before. I've done it before and I know it went well. I did it before and I was rewarded for my efforts with praise and, of course, the fact that everyone ate the food. Therefore, this would mean that if you have done something before, it should be easier the next time. The more times you do it, the more it just becomes muscle memory at this point. Even if something goes wrong, we know how to deal with it. Take a presentation or public speaking, for instance. The first time you need to present or speak in front of a crowd, it can be incredibly nerve-wracking. We worry about all the things that could go wrong. Will we stumble our words, miss something out, or even worse, sound like we have no idea about what we're talking about? But then, when we do that same speech or presentation the second time, it feels so much easier because we already did it the day before, and we did not crash and burn. If we go through an exercise of identifying the things that we believe we are good at, we will most likely see a list of things that we are most confident about. Equally, if you think about the things you are most nervous about, you'll most likely see a list of things that are development areas for yourself. If we took it a little further and looked at the list of confidence, we will see a correlation of repeated activity. And the list with low confidence will be activities that we have not done very often. I remember this scene in the movie Burnt, where Bradley Cooper tells his sous chef to make a halibut for the service. The dish was sent back to the kitchen by the guest because it wasn't up to par. Bradley Cooper made his disappointment very clear to the lady, and her confidence was severely knocked. Thereafter, she made halibut for her daughter's breakfast every single day just to get the reps in. I don't remember us seeing what happens with that in the movie, but she was definitely very confident about her ability thereafter. I'm not saying we should hijack our children's breakfast choices, but what I am saying is that the confidence is like a muscle, and we just need to put the reps in. What does this look like in real life, you ask? Well, if you're due to give a presentation next Friday, and you're feeling nervous about it, then the best approach would be to get your material together and practice it in front of other people, the people that you trust, or in front of the mirror as many times as humanly possible. If you practice it 3 times a day for 10 days, you would have delivered that material 30 times before even stepping up in front of your colleagues. At this point, even if there was an issue with the slides or anything else, you would most likely take it in your stride. If you're feeling nervous about approaching someone to have a conversation, then just start practicing with whoever you can. The more conversations we have, the more we are going to learn about what works and what does not. It also gives us an opportunity to realize that it can really not go as bad as we worried it would. I think a lot of the time we feel low confidence because we are worried about what could go wrong. By putting in a huge number of reps, we start to see the things that can go wrong and find solutions for them. The more reps we put in, the more problems we end up solving in order to get to the desired end goal. I used to be really nervous about speaking publicly. I would get really hot and breathe weird. I would speak quieter and stumble my words. The nervousness around speaking actually made me speak worse. At the time, I didn't have a revelation of how to fix it. I didn't even start to think about ways I could improve. At the time, I had no choice but to keep going, because it was what was required of me. I realized that all the worries I had never really materialized. Yes, things went wrong, but I just dealt with them the best I could at the time. After many reps, I became less nervous, and then I was able to start looking at ways to become better. Change a few things to optimize the delivery, take some actions beforehand to regulate my breathing, and also play around with the material and make it even more engaging. By the time I delivered my wedding speech to nearly 300 people, I had no nervousness about speaking publicly at all. This is a great example of just putting ourselves out there and allowing the reps to happen. Even if we completely messed up, we are most likely going to be the only one in that room that still thinks about that mess up in a week's time. What I'm saying here is that we 100% have the ability to build up our confidence. I firmly believe that as human beings we can do anything we put our mind to. Or more importantly, we can do anything we are willing to put the work in for. Everything outside of nature's world has been made by humans. It's been done before, it can be done again. We just need to be willing to work for it. If you get a moment this week to do the exercise of writing down what you're good at and see the results, I guarantee it's the things you do all the time. Knowing this will then prove to you that the list of things you feel nervous about can easily start moving over to the confident list. Truth is, confidence isn't just a feeling. It is us giving the world undeniable proof that we are who we say we are, and the only way to achieve that is to do the thing. Practice makes perfect. The other thing that stood out to me from the email I received was resilience. A regular viewer had to deal with a number of challenges in their life, and in order to continue to function, would have had to build up some resilience. Life is hard. Things always seem to happen, and when they happen at the worst times. Sometimes a number of things go wrong all at once, and it can get really heavy to carry all of that. Yet, in some cases, somehow we manage to carry it because we still need to work, still need to get dinner sorted for the family, and still need to be there for our friends and family when they need us. This ability to roll with the punches is the resilience we have built up over time. The act of still showing up for your responsibilities despite external factors trying to pull us down. There's a number of things that will help with resilience, such as having a good support system around you, a strong tribe that we can lean on to help us out of our slump. Having a purpose also helps with being resilient. Knowing that despite the adversity, you're still on your quest will fuel your resilience in an extraordinary way. Having a continuous improving mindset helps too. Learning from mistakes and becoming better will build resilience because we are left knowing next time this happens, we know how to handle it. Letting go of negativity and having a more positive outlook. Somehow, however bad something is, at some point, we talk and laugh about it. There's a quote by Steve Allen from 1957 where he says, "Tragedy plus time equals comedy." Many other comedians use this concept now, and I think it's so true. With a more hopeful outlook, looking at something bad and either laughing about it then or just knowing that at some point we will laugh about it, will boost our resilience too. And the last thing that helps immensely with my resilience is to do something about the issue, the problem or the adversity. Taking action has always helped me to feel better and become more resilient. What I've been thinking about lately, though, is resilience killers. I believe we all have at least one thing that could go wrong that will zap away all of our resilience and make us snap. It may be more than one for some, but I'm quite confident that it is at least one for all. You may know what I'm talking about. It may be the last thing that happens before you just lose it. I spoke to my friend about this the other day, and he said for him it was his partner. The whole world could be crumbling, but as long as him and his partner had no trouble, he would have the resilience to deal with it. The moment his partner had some sort of problem with him or turns on him in any way, that's when his resilience gets zapped and he shuts down and lets the adversity take over. For me, it's things functioning the way they should. I can have all the resilience I possess and crack on with what needs doing, but if anything that's supposed to be working doesn't work anymore, it just gets to me. Mainly because if that happens, it will generally fall on me to look for a fix, and that is just one thing too many when it should have been working in the first place. What is your resilience killer? Have a think. What is it that when it happens, you let your guard down and allow external factors to affect you the most? Maybe it is when you have had a bad day and you come home and your partner is ready to have an argument. Maybe it is that you go to pick your kids up from school and your children are saying you don't spend enough time with them. Or maybe like me, you come home and the TV is no longer working, and that's another thing to add to the list of things to do when the plate's already full. I firmly believe that if there is a resilience killer, it's in our best interest to identify what that is and work extremely hard to always keep that protected. Work extremely hard or make that the main priority in order to maintain the resilience required to function. In my friend's case, everything would have to be dropped so that he could speak to his wife and sort out the issue. Because if he doesn't, then everything else will falter too. In my case, I'd have to prioritize the action to fix the broken thing so that we can get back to normal and I can focus on being resilient and doing what's required for wider life. When I thought about this, I thought about Tony Stark. That arc reactor in the middle of his chest would be his metamorphical resilience killer. If there's anything wrong with it, he will not be able to function. So if it goes wrong, it will become his number one priority to sort out so that he can carry on with his important responsibilities. And sometimes the fix is hard and you'll need help from your pepper pots to come along and reconnect that little wire to the reactor for it to work again. The point is, the arc reactor is vital for the work that we're doing. Any issue should be what gets focused on, and if the work is too hard for us, then we need to enlist our trusted support system to help with that, because without it, we will most likely fail in holding it together. If you're asking yourself how to be more resilient, here is the answer for you. Identify your resilience killer and make it a number one priority. I wanted to come back to the last theme that stood out for me from the email. The fact that we seem to care so much about what others think. There isn't really any other way to put this than a little bit of people pleasing. Look, one of the reasons we've had this hard-coded into us is due to the fear of being ostracized from the tribe. If we focus on making the tribe happy and pleasing them with what they may need, then the chances of being shunned out the cave are minimal. There's a number of problems with this, in my opinion. We may not be as authentic as we could be because of the fear of not being accepted. We may be harming our confidence by not following through with what we actually want to do or say, and instead conforming to what we believe others want from us. We may be eroding our self-esteem because in the back of the mind we're thinking if I was being real, I wouldn't be accepted. And lastly, we are most likely going to be less happy and exhausted because we're performing most of the time. A while ago, there was numerous occasions where I said and did things because I thought that's what people wanted to hear or see. I was performing. It didn't serve me. It didn't sit right with me. Mainly because the benefits that came with it never outweighed the feelings I felt. At some point, my circle got smaller, in a good way. I now have the people around me that I really care and love for. My identity flourished, meaning I knew who I was and I had no desire to hide it from people, and I just became comfortable with not being the nice guy all the time. Not to be confused with kind. We optimize for kindness every single day, but if I didn't want to go to that party my friend was organizing, I would just say so, rather than make up an excuse. If I wasn't the biggest fan of the food my wife prepared, I would just say thanks so much for cooking dinner, but I don't think it's my favorite, rather than say it was fine. And if anyone around me did something to upset me, I would bring it up to be discussed, rather than go silent and hope it sorts itself out before the next time we meet. The result? I feel free. There's a level of freedom when you can truly be yourself, call out the things you want to call out, and communicate how you really feel. Whatever comes from that will come from that. If our friends and family cannot handle it and get angered by what happened, then they may have some additional work to do themselves. We can only work on how we feel and how we act. Everybody else is on their own journey, and I believe that we need to respect that. These days, everyone longs for financial freedom. On your journey towards that, take some time to work on mental freedom too. Not worrying about what people think is the quickest way to start that journey. Trust me when I say this. Most of the time, it's only us that are holding on to the things that we said or did. Others around us are busy worrying about their own lives instead. On top of that, we're here for a good time, not a long time. In 100 years' time, the majority of people then won't even know who we are. Let's live our life to the fullest and be authentic. Let's be unapologetically us. The people that love us will always make room for that. And everyone else, well, you are the main character in this movie. That is your life. The camera follows you and your supporting actors. Everyone else is just an extra. We know who gets the Oscars in the end. I say all this, but I'm still conscious of the few instances where we may be in a position where we can't be ourselves. Where we worry for our well-being if we speak up or do something that may be considered out of line. Truth is, this is not a good place to be. In those cases, lean on your tribe to help you get out of that situation and find a better normal. Here in the UK, there are a few resources you can explore to help with this. The email I received from my regular viewer talked about the scenario when they were a child. Not much that could have been done there, but now that they are out of that situation, they're striving towards being a better version of themselves for them and their children. In the words of the famous Albus Dumbledore, help will always be given to those that ask for it. We covered some important topics this week, topics that I believe will have a big impact on your personal and professional life. I hope you found the information useful. If you have, please let me know by liking this video. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. It is the #1 way for you to support what we're doing here. We upload every 2 weeks. It would be great to have you along for the journey. You have made it to the end of the video. You must have enjoyed it. Here's another video that YouTube believes you may like. Go ahead, give it a go. My name is Bobby, and this is Real People Real Talk. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.